what is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't even know. I did a blood testing. I found out I have quite a lot of Irish. Made me do a deep dive. Found out before the Africans came to the Caribbean, there was a lot of Irish. So they had the bad time back in the day. They had the bad time with the UK. Now finally they have their own place. Now you want to swarm them with NGOs bringing all these people in buses, and now they're a minority because they're white? You make it seem that just because you're white, I don't freaking care about your past, and we want to justify it.
Can I say something without people getting mad? It's okay for countries to not want lots of immigrants. Conor McGregor and the Irishmen who want less immigration in Ireland aren't all racist. They just want the people that they have to be taken care of before taking in new people. And they want Ireland to feel Irish. This is what Conor said.
The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
Ireland went from being 8% non-Irish to 24% in just 20 years. There's been a spike in asylum seekers from Ukraine, Africa, and the Middle East. Some of them are living in tents in parks, and it's exacerbating the housing crisis in Ireland.
And they don't want you to say that. They don't want you to relate more immigration means more prices. I'm like, if more people are competing to find the house, the prices are going to go up.
UK and Germany, whose foreign-born populations have increased by 77% over the last 20 years, are also struggling with mass migration. As a result, right-wing parties against mass migration are getting more popular. Pro-immigration advocates tend to focus on the fact that immigrants are just humans who want a better life. And they're right, but empathy without practicality is suicide.
And I've said it before.
The open borders policy we've seen in America has been happening in Europe too. And here's the thing, people have been silent about it. And I think it's because many white people who aren't racist are afraid of being called racist.
I'm not white, I was afraid. I'm kind of dark white right now because I'm in Europe, but if I go back to Curacao, I'm black again, so hey, I can do all the colors.
Many of them feel so guilty about what their ancestors did in the past that they're overcorrecting for it now. And the media is making it worse by calling everyone far right, which is basically a curse word now.
Far right, Republican, conservative.
Cool. No one wants to be called far right because who's actually far right? That's right, Nazis. And once you're called far right, the label white supremacist is sure to follow. This shuts down honest debate and hurts everyone. Because think about it. Why do we like to travel? So that we can experience different cultures. No one wants to go to France and eat escargot, but not hear the French language. No one wants to go to England and see Big Ben, but not hear British accents. Cultures are cool. And if we don't preserve cultures in their homelands, those countries will become theme parks that feel all the same.
Venga, dilo. Remember to subscribe.
And this isn't just about non-white people in white cultures. Bali has had a massive influx of Russian and Ukrainian refugees, and the place has changed. Now, I'm glad that those people found somewhere to stay, but don't you also want Balinese culture to stay? America is a bit different because it's a melting pot. But even in a melting pot, you still need to be intentional about what ingredients you add, in what amounts, and when.
So when people ask me, are you Caribbean or Dutch? I'm like, I'm happy. I have both. I mean, I'm from Curacao. I'm still proud to say I'm a Dutch person because I went to Holland. I studied under them, their infrastructure we have on our island. So in a way, I'm part of their culture.
Good place like Ireland. They didn't colonize anybody. You know, Ireland was a colony. They suffered terribly under the British for a long time. And yet it's very interesting that, you know, they were willing to be brutalized, be occupied, be starved, you know, all of these things for centuries. to defend their little slice of the world where their people could work out their destiny among themselves, endured so much for that. And then, you get up to about the 1960s, 1970s, and, you can look it up. This isn't like a conspiracy theory. It's the first things that come up on Google if you look it up, that, Ireland is on track to be minority Irish by like 2070 or something like that. It's like, I don't like that. People think of diversity as like every place on the planet should look like Jackson Heights in New York, and like then we're diverse. But to me, that's not diversity at all. Diversity is I go to Ireland and it's Irish.
That's racist.
If I go to Ireland, I want to see Ireland. If I go to France, I want to see France. Germany, Spain, There is a diversity. But the whole idea that you want a melting pot everywhere, that ain't diverse anymore.
And the more different the new ingredients are, the more intentional you need to be. If you add Middle Eastern ingredients to a European dish, you need to be intentional about it. Just like if you add European ingredients to a Middle Eastern dish. The right amount of immigration isn't zero, but it's also not infinity. And people can't find the right amount if everyone is afraid of being labeled a far-right racist just for talking about it. And if we don't learn to have these conversations in good faith, we're not just going to lose Western cultures. We're going to lose the entire idea of culture.
The problem isn't the culture. It's just that sometimes you add so much of a culture, they don't even bother to integrate. And if they become the majority, hey, that's the new dominant culture.
What?
And I just think if they're not careful, we might end up just like Serbia.
Good morning, TikTok America. Hey, this post is for those people that live in America, who hates America. Get the fuck out. It's just that simple. You don't have to tell us how bad you hate this country. Just leave. If you can't support the country you live in, then go to the country that you support.
I'm not surprised he's saying that because certain people were saying Elon Musk should get out of the country, even if he's legal, because they actually believe legal people are being kicked out, deported. I'm like, in any country, if you commit a gangster crime and you're not really native, yeah, you're going to get deported.
The moment that you grab the gun, like Fanon says, you're no longer oppressed. You're now free. How do we teach that in the class? Just to say that in the class, my students' heads explode, right? To tell them about violence, as a revolutionary tool, as sometimes a revolutionary essential.
We actually need to crash the U.S. settler state, which has incredible reverberations and literally strangles the tentacles that are reaching into the Israeli state.
So we must stand with the armed resistance and work right now to end this impunity by disrupting the flow of weapons to Zionists. Because trust, the armed resistance will defeat Zionism if it was an open battlefield.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are professors at a public university at Virginia.
Really?
I'm like, I send my kids to learn, not to be radicalized. Like, if you want to do that on your own time after your job.
And these people will stop at nothing. And yes, the Russians helped them last time. The Russians are helping them now. And you cover the White House. You know that the White House has said, don't brief the Congress. Don't even tell them in classified settings what the Russians are doing this time. And these people will stop at nothing. And
you can have your opinion. I like my YouTube channel.
Get this man out of here now. But if that doesn't happen, and we're not promoting it for 1 second, but if that doesn't happen, there will be violence. And these people had the opportunity to stop it. And they didn't.
I can also say that about your ideology. And I won't have a YouTube channel.
Hey man, it's looking like the American citizens are finally realizing what Donald Trump is doing, that it's working, it's effective, and it is the right thing to do, no matter how much the liberal propaganda machine try to spin it and say that Donald Trump is going to ruin the United States of America. Because NBC put out some numbers, and according to them, back in November 2024, only 27% of the American citizens felt like the United States was on the right path, compared to under Donald Trump's administration, a whopping 44%, which is the highest it's been since 2012. You know what's something else interesting that they put out? They said only 7% of Americans have favorable views of the Democrats. You know what that means? Most of the United States hates the Democrats because they are against the United States and they are against people's values. I'm trying to tell you, and they like to try to talk down on people with a condescending attitude. Saying when Donald Trump won, they said that all 76 million people who voted for Donald Trump were idiots. We didn't graduate college. All type of nonsense. And the proof is right there. The people don't fuck with the Democrats. Look at some of the stuff they're doing. Can you believe they stopped Trump for they were trying to stop Trump for getting rid of illegals out of the United States? Do you know most of the Democrats voted against keeping men out of women's sports? I'm just saying, and they wondering why they lost, man. I'm so happy Donald Trump is getting in office. He's doing everything that he said he was going to do. I'm not embarrassed as a black American who voted for Donald Trump, because these are the things I voted for. Y'all looked me in my face and said, well, I hope you get what you voted for. And I'm saying, I'm getting what I voted for. Yes, I am. Y'all said Donald Trump was going to bring back slavery. I'm all the way in Austin, Texas. I ain't no slave. What a slavery yet? I haven't been a slave. I haven't lost any type of rights. I ain't got beat up by the police for no reason. All these other black politicians getting out here talking trash about black folks that support Trump, but for whatever reason they ignore all the black violence that's going on in our community. They just give you little talking points so they can get on TV and sound good. It's straight up nonsense. I'm glad Donald Trump is putting America first. That is what I'm glad about.
I'm just glad voting is anonymous, because if it wasn't anonymous, oh man. Woo!
Immigration is really bad for American workers.
There's no mass immigration.
Well, first of all, how many people are... Wow. Well, you're right. There is mass invasion, but how many people are coming across the southern border every day?
I don't know, but
No, I'm actually genuinely curious. Can you guess?
Okay. On what time frame?
Every day.
Every day? 500?
Yeah. It's at its low point. It's at 10,000 right now. It was 15,000 last month. So what does that annualize? Let's play that out.
A lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So that's mass immigration, right?
With this, I can show to you by knowing less, you might sound very confident, and by knowing more, you might sound very humble.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde, kush, hash, purple, skunk, criollo, colombici, jam, jam, durloqueta, verdeta, welcome.